Ah, good. Here he is. We can finally begin. Hello, everyone, and let's take a trip to better understand the circulatory system. Shall we begin? There are over 8 billion people on the planet, and if you're one of them, then you probably have a functioning heart that pumps blood throughout your entire body. Hello, and welcome to the circulatory system. Today, I'll be your guide as we take a closer look at the anatomy, the normal physiology, the abnormal physiology caused by diseases, as well as prevention and treatments, and finally, the social implications of the circulatory system. The circulatory system consists of the heart, the blood vessels, namely the arteries, veins, and capillaries, and as well as the blood, and also the sort of distant relative they have, the lungs. Over here we have James, our patient for this discussion, and sadly he is suffering an abnormality in his circulatory system. Worry not, my dear viewers, because he is in the company of good friends, trustworthy ones if I may say, namely Barbara and Eddie, who are both unfortunately suffering or have suffered from abnormalities similar to James. To better understand the conditions they face, let's delve deeper into the lifeline of every human being on the planet. First, we need to discuss the heart, located slightly to the left of... Wait. No. That's not the right one. Get that silly thing away from the screen right now. You imbecile, that's not even part of the script. You think this is funny? This is a proper discussion about the circulatory system. We have a man dying here. James needs his cure. This is not a joke. Ah, there we go. Thank you. I do apologize for that interruption, ladies and gentlemen. Now, where were we? Ah, yes. So, located slightly to the left of the middle of your chest, the heart is made of strong muscle tissue and is protected by your ribcage. Even though it is no larger than the size of your fist, it plays a vital important role in your body. It consists of 4 hollow chambers, 2 ventricles and 2 atria. All 4 chambers work quite like pumps and push blood throughout your body. The blood that moves towards the heart enters it through the atria and then goes out to your body through the ventricles. Now you're probably wondering what the blood is. Well, I know it's a complete mystery to you, so there. Now I have a reason to engage in this topic, to inform you, dear viewers. To put it simply, it's the red, icky stuff that's in your body right now. Yes, I know this is common knowledge, but if I don't say this right now, they might just come in here and shoot me. Let's elaborate on what this blood is. Your heart pumps blood throughout your body and travels through thousands of miles, mainly because it has to move through the network of blood vessels within your body. Your blood is an amazing substance that carries water, nutrients, waste products, and oxygen to and from your body cells. A young person will have up to a gallon of blood, whereas an adult will have about 5 quarters of blood. It is quite important to note that your blood looks like an ordinary red liquid, but it is in fact made up of solids, liquids, and small amounts of carbon dioxide and oxygen. Your blood also consists of cells that perform different functions in your body. Let's take a look at each part and their functions, shall we? Let's begin with the red blood cells. These cells take oxygen from your lungs and transport it to the rest of your body cells. After delivering the oxygen, it gathers up the carbon dioxide and delivers it back to your lungs. Next are the white blood cells. These blood cells play a role in fighting off germs and protect you from diseases. Your body produces more white blood cells to deal with an infection in your body. Now you're probably wondering, Mr. Narrator, why do we have two types of blood cells but blood is colored red? Are the white blood cells the minority? Are they subjected to discrimination by the superior red blood cell race? Well, dear viewer, to answer your questions, blood is red from the protein hemoglobin. Hemoglobin has a molecule called heme. The way you kids spell meme, the heme is spelled as H-E-M-E. Anyway, it has a metal iron in it. When the iron is oxygenated, it becomes red. When the iron is deoxygenated, it becomes blue. This is why your veins are blue, but we'll get to that in a while. Let's continue with the platelets. These blood cells help stop bleeding. When you have an open flesh wound, platelets will start accumulating at the opening and plug up the hole to stop the bleeding. Once the platelets start sticking to the opening of a damaged blood vessel, they start attracting more fibers, platelets, and other blood cells to prevent excessive bleeding. And lastly, we have plasma. Made in the liver. Yes, the liver. The liquid part of your blood is called the plasma, and about half of your blood is made of this substance. The plasma transports your blood, cells, and many other components throughout your body. Now, after that discussion, you're probably wondering how blood is transported throughout your body. It's either that or you're browsing on your phone. Or asleep. Either way, I've probably mentioned about blood before, but let's take a closer look at them and discuss them and their functions individually and briefly. The blood vessels are one of the most important circulatory system organs. Your blood vessels allow blood to flow quickly from one region to another and then allow it to come back to your heart. The size of your vessels increases with an increase in the amount of blood that passes through the vessel. Blood vessels have a hollow area that allows for easy flow of blood, and this is called the lumen. And there's a wall around the lumen which can be as thick as the arteries or as thin as the capillaries. All your blood vessels have a thin layer of squamous epithelium that prevents clots from forming. The layer is called endothelium and ensures that your blood cells stay inside at all costs. There are three basic types of blood vessels, including capillaries, arteries, and veins. Arteries take oxygen-rich blood away from your heart, while veins take blood back towards your heart, and capillaries are very tiny blood vessels that form a connection between the arteries and veins. The capillary walls facilitate the transfer of oxygen, nutrients, and wastes in and out of your body. There, we've discussed all the parts of the circulatory system. You may wake from your slumber and look up at the screen from your other screen, your phone. Oh, wait. Oh, I almost forgot. Your lungs. Oh, what good of a narrator I am if I can't even... this bloody script is a mess. No matter. As for your lungs, they aren't technically a part of circulatory system organs, but they really do make it possible for your heart to function correctly. Your lungs provide oxygen for your body. The lungs send oxygen-rich blood to the left side of your heart, and your heart then uses blood vessels and arteries to transfer it to the rest of your body. There. Now we've discussed absolutely everything about the circulatory system. Now, Was the discussion about the anatomy and normal physiology of the circulatory system adequate? Do you now have a better understanding of how the circulatory system works in your rather mundane daily routines? Yes, very good. I'm glad your tiny brains were able to understand. Now, try thinking of a thought bubble for me, please. I need somewhere to put this. Please. Come on now. It just ruins the animation if I put it anywhere else. Ah, yes, very good. Now, I do understand that all three of you don't exactly have a normal functioning circulatory system. I do know James has hypertension, Barbara suffered from a stroke, and Eddie suffered from a heart attack. Honestly, I do feel sorry for all of you, but not to worry. To better understand the predicaments all three of you face, let's consult a medical professional to discuss each of your ailments. Since I, the narrator, am not qualified to answer the questions you might have about them, I'm here to introduce to you the circulatory system so you at least have a little understanding of the terms that might be used. For all you know, I'm just a figment of your imagination. You might as well be hallucinating everything, but enough about me. Let's redirect ourselves to our resident interviewer and our special guest speaker.
We're journalism students from the University of Santo Tomas, and unang requirements namin is to have an interview with regards to the cardiovascular system. So before anything else, we would just like to ask, what are the abnormal physiology when it comes to the cardiovascular system?
When you talk about abnormality in the physiology,
Yes,
okay, so if you talk about cardiovascular diseases, one of the most commonly known cardiovascular diseases is hypertension. Okay, but it's not only that. You have coronary artery disease, you have cerebrovascular disease, or even peripheral vascular diseases. So anything that would affect these vascular beds is considered a disease of the vascular system. Okay, and if you look at statistics, not only in the Philippines but also worldwide, cardiovascular diseases ranks number 1, most mortality and morbidity.
So, with regards to that, ma'am, yung hypertension po ba, ano po yung causes niya and how do we prevent it? And may pinipili po ba talaga siyang age?
Hypertension is blood pressure that is taken from the blood vessel. Okay, so a lot of people mistakes it as a heart condition. No, it's not. No, it's high blood pressure in the arteries. Okay, there are two types of hypertension. You have the primary and you have the secondary. No? The most commonly known hypertension cause is primary. So when you say primary, it occurs in individuals more than 35 years of age. No? Usually there is family predisposition, so meaning genetic history, okay, lifestyle contributes to high blood pressure, immobility, sedentary lifestyle, no? Sometimes patients with high cholesterol are also contributory. Now, one particular element that has been pinpointed as a number 1 cause of hypertension is salt, no? Sodium, no? So sabi nila, renal handling of sodium is one important abnormality, no, that is being blamed for hypertension. But if you look at the books, there is not actually one cause of hypertension. There are a lot of multiple factors, no, that can contribute to high blood pressure. So that's one. No? The second type of hypertension is yung secondary. Usually it is found in very young patients, so less than 25 years of age. And usually there is a particular organ in the body that causes or somehow be pinpointed as a cause of hypertension. Like for example, renal artery stenosis, no? What else? Pheochromocytoma. What else? Adrenal diseases, no? Cushing's diseases. What else? Hyperaldosteronism, no? So these are things or diseases, no, that causes high blood pressure. But other than high blood pressure, there are other manifestations. Like for example, generalized flushing, electrolyte abnormalities. So in summary, what am I saying? So two types, you have primary, you have secondary. If you have primary, usually it occurs in the elderly. No? When you say elderly, hindi na yan yung 50, 60, but even for 35 years and above. If you have secondary, usually less than 25. What's the difference? If you have secondary, there is a particular organ in the body that causes the hypertension. While if you say primary, you cannot pinpoint any disease in the different organs. So parang multifactorial that would cause primary hypertension.
Yes. Sa hypertension po ba, possible na dahil po sa stress?
Yes, so there is a contribution of stress, competitiveness sa work, etc. No? So pwede.
Okay, next question po. What are the causes of stroke? And kapag nagka-stroke po ba yung isang tao, possible po ba na permanent na yun or there are other ways po para po ma-conversion?
Pag sinabi mo kasing stroke, sometimes people mistake it as a heart attack. So there are two different things. So when you say heart attack, yan yung myocardial infarction, nagbarang ugat sa puso. When you say stroke, nagbarang ugat sa utak. So different disease, no? But same vascular bed. So meaning kung nagbara sa heart, pwede rin magbara sa brain. Okay? Now, debilitating ba siya? Meaning there is residual consequences? Yes, no? Usually ang stroke, which is what you all know as brain attack, okay? Pwedeng magkaroon ng deficit. Meaning after you recover from a stroke, pwedeng magkaroon ng residual. Pwedeng mahina ang kamay, mahina ang paa, minsan hindi nakapagsalita, minsan hindi makalunok. Okay? Yan yung nakikita nating nangingiwi. That's brain stroke. Or what you call cerebrovascular disease.
Thank you po. Next po, yung heart attack po ba, could it be prevented at an early age or may particular age po ba siya na target when it comes to heart attacks?
Meron kasing profile na sinasabi. No? So when you say profile, may mga risk factors that predispose an individual for a coronary. Pag sinabi mo kasing heart attack, that's already the event. No? Pero before a heart attack, may tinatawag na coronary artery disease. Yung nagsisimula pa lang magbara sa ugat. Okay? So may mga risk factors yan. May tinatawag na modifiable, may sinasabing non-modifiable. So when you say modifiable, it is something that we can do something about. Like for example, smoking. Pag may risk factor kang smoking, malaki ang chance magkaroon ka ng baradong ugat. So modifiable kasi pwedeng you can prevent yourself from smoking. Tama? 2, sedentary lifestyle. Like ka nakahiga, wala kang exercise, kain tulog lang, okay? So walang activity, don't play sports, etc. That contributes to CAD, coronary artery disease. So is it a modifiable, non-modifiable? It is modifiable because you can do something about it. You can, exercise, you can do daily activities, no? What else? Other modifiable, dyslipidemia. Sabihin, high cholesterol. So pwede mong ayusin yan with your diet. Tama? So meron din namang non-modifiable. Ano yung sabihin na non-modifiable? These are things that is inherent to you, wala ka na magagawa. Like for example, female, male. Which one is more predisposed for coronary artery disease? Usually lalaki.
Yes.
Lalaki at what particular age? Usually 45 and above. Ang babae, 50 and above. So bakit elderly ang mga babae? Kasi there is such a thing as menopausal. Di ba? Women has a tendency to be protected by estrogen, which is found dun sa mga hindi pa nagme-menopause. But once you reach menopause, that already imposes risk the same as male. What else? Age, di ba? So, sabi natin, above 45 for men, for female, 50 and above. What else? Genetics. So, kung may lalahi ka, family history of coronary artery disease, nag-atake sa puso, na-stroke, may chance na pwedeng magkaroon ka. So, ibig sabihin, these are things na you cannot control. Andun na yun eh. Okay, so what you're going to do lang is to modify yung mga modifiable risk factors.
Yes po. Sub-question lang po. Yung kami po kasi mga students, tendency po namin is to review mga 6 hours straight. So, nakaupo lang po kami or sometimes sa kahiga. Is that dangerous po? When it comes to the...
Number one, you're young.
Yes.
Okay, so at this particular age in time, you still have the luxury of, having a good heart, good blood vessel. Pero ang blood vessel kasi with regards to pagbabara builds up with time.
Okay.
Sabihin, ano yun? if you don't eat well, right food, no? Hindi ka mahilig sa vegetable, fruits, balanced diet, fatty foods, fast food, then maaga pa lang, pwedeng nag-start na magbara ang ugat mo. Ano pa? If you smoke, so that smoking per se at this young age makes your arteries vulnerable to develop coronary artery disease. Now, yung pagiging sedentary, okay lang naman mag-aral 6-7 hours, but after that, di ka naman matutulog all the time. So, dapat you have to engage yourself to sports as well. So, yung times na hindi ka mag-aaral, like for example, weekends, then that's an activity. Ano pa? Rather than, utilizing the elevator, going up and down the stairs, rather than do that, walk. Kasi that's a form of exercise, of physical activity.
Yes. Thank you po. What are the government's action, if you know any, with regards to combating heart attack, hypertension, and stroke?
A lot of, at the present time, it's an advantage because previous heads of government agencies do not recognize cerebrovascular or cardiovascular diseases as a number one cause of mortality and morbidity. Ang laging number one would always be infectious, maternal health, cancer. But now, realizing that in the Philippines, which also is consistent worldwide, cardiovascular disease ranks number one. So they have their efforts, like for example, the government has set forth yung smoking prevention, di ba? Ano pa? Physical activity, they promote Zumba fitness program from different health centers, di ba? What else? Healthy lifestyle. Inaano na yan ina-advertise na. No? Plus the fact that the government is supporting free medications for chronic diseases. Yun ang maganda. So for patients who are already known to have hypertension, diabetes, the barangay health workers are already informed and educated of drugs given for free for these chronic diseases. So I think the government now has recognized and realized that chronic diseases, specifically cardiovascular disease, can be prevented and treatable.
Yes po, ma'am. We have come po dun sa research po namin na advocate po kayo for cardiovascular health sa women. Ano po yung organization po ba ito or it's just an advocate?
The Philippine Heart Association is association of cardiologists in the Philippines, no? And they have different councils. So, may specific area sila of specialization. Meaning, yun yung pagtutuunan nila ng projects, ng pansin, no? I'm part of the Philippine Heart Association Council for Women. So, we specifically target women with regards to the prevalence of diseases that they have. We have some advocacy on how women will be able to protect their heart and not only their heart but their body against cardiovascular disease. Kasi we have found out by culture, Filipino culture, ang lalaki ang inuuna usually ng mga babae. So at the long run, what happens is women napapabayaan ng health. So ngayon, parang tinitingnan namin that basically pareho lang ang risk. That's why women should take time really not only to care for the family but also to care for themselves as well.
Yes. And last na po, how can the Philippines commit to more healthy living? Kasi po, nasa culture na po natin yung chicharon, yung mga saturated fats, hydrogenated fats na nasa creamer po. How could we commit to a more healthy living despite the high number of Filipinos victimized by lifestyle problems?
Naku, mahirap yan, Kasi it's not only, I think, the government's role, but also the role of each and everyone. Sa family, tingin ko doon magsisimula. I think, sometimes I see patients, they would be telling me, paano ko doktora magiging healthy? Yung mga anak ko, dinadala ko sa fast food, dinadala ko. So, bakit sway them to go for that kind of living? Bakit hindi itong matatanda ang magsabi, no, let's not eat here, let's go to a more healthy? Kasi I think education would always starts from home. From the home, dapat sa school ituturo. Kasi hindi yung nandun Kasi pagdating dun sa, adulthood, wala na even if the government will intervene, they have their own lifestyle already.
Yes.
Tama?
Yes.
And ano lang magagawa ng government? Free medications maybe and secondary prevention. So when you say secondary, meron na sila additional information so that they will have another disease. Pero dapat magsisimula yan family, school.
And super last na po, ano po yung mga food na dapat po kainin to maintain a healthy cardiovascular system?
Basically may hierarchy ng ng food, no? When you say food groups, no? Number one would be, syempre, vegetable, no? Kasi, importante yan, not only a source of vitamins, no? But also some minerals that is important in the body. You need fish, you need chicken, yun ang hierarchy. Vegetable, fish, pwedeng pantay, and then chicken, and then pork. Dapat less ang kakainin beef, kasi beef has the highest cholesterol. Kaya if you have, hindi man sinasayang bawal kumain, no? You have different choices of food. If you have chicken and pork, chicken. You have chicken and fish, fish. If you have fish and beef, fish. So if you have pork and beef, pork. You have beef and chicken, chicken. So sabihin, hindi bawal, but you have to take in moderation and you have to do the right choice. Hindi bawal. Pipiliin mo na. Pwede naman mga pakonti-konti. Especially sa young, no? Kasi sabihin natin, young are not vulnerable. But you are soon. Kaya dapat umpisa pa lang, you start early. Di ba?
Yan lang po. Thank you very much
sige.
po.
Okay.
There. Now we're really done with this. Let me just check my script if there's anything left. Yes, the lungs, the heart. Ah, yes. Finally. I hope you enjoyed all this as much as we did. On behalf of all of us who made this, thank you very much for listening. And I hope you had a great time learning, or browsing through your phone, or just sleeping. Bye-bye.